Okay guys, today we're gonna learn how to create parametric models from the non-parametric parts. We'll be working with extract curves, project curves, shell approach, and the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna make the work layer number 1, and by doing that we'll see the part display on the screen. Then we go back to layers again, and we want to verify that there is nothing on layer 6 right now, and we close it, and we're going to move to layer 6, that part. That's the non-parametric part. We're moving into layer 6. Now we're going to turn it back on, layer 6. We're going to leave layer number 1 as the work layer so we can create the solid body on layer number 1. We're going to take the WCS and move it down approximate 40 millimeters is good. You can move it any distance you wish. And then we go back to insert and select derive curves, and going to project and start selecting the edges all the way around, being careful that we're not going to select edges that we don't need to project. So we only need layers that we're going to use for extrusion. So we go around the part, select the circles, select the part, all the edges around. We're going to be careful not to select the fillets or the blends. We don't want to do that because we're going to create those later on. So we'll continue. There are some edges that we don't need to, so we got to be careful because they are all in line with each other. So that's no need to do that. And when we are finished with all the edges, we move forward and select other edges that we need part of the model. So right here in the pocket, on the pad that we're going to use later on, or this particular block, we're going to start selecting edges. And notice that we select those curves. Those curves are going to turn into straight lines when we project them. And we move the part around just to double check, be sure that we are not going to miss anything. And then we are going to be careful to turn off the associative and the settings. In addition to that, we're going to be sure that those curves get deleted, so we don't leave no curves behind. And then we go on to specify the plane. And the plane that we're going to use is the XZ. So we look for the XZ plane, and we're going to select OK, and they project the curves. And again, be sure that there is no associative and delete turn on, and we hit OK. And we create copies because that's basically what we're doing. All right. Now we go back to Format, select Layer Settings, turn off the layer 6 where we had the non-parametric solid, and we're gonna just work with the geometry that we have on this particular layer, which is layer 1. We should have not really put this on layer 1, but that's okay for right now. We'll later move on into a different layer. We're going to be sure that when we go trim curves that the associative tile is turned off. That's very important. If we leave that on, it's going to hunt us later on. So we got to be careful with them. So we select trim, all the trim curves that we need to all the way around, one at a time. And we're going to be careful that the associative is not turned on. So we select the curve that we're going to trim, the boundary curve, and hit OK. So we select another curve, select another curve, select another curve, and I just want you to notice something that is going to happen here. I'm going to get a message. It's two identical trim curves, and we're going to do this again to see what happens. And by doing this, we might realize that there is some things that are not correct, and we keep getting the same message. If we keep getting the same message, and we keep trying, even though all the toggle switches are turned on correctly, we have to be sure that, let's try one more time and see what happens here. So should we select the proper bounding, select that endpoint and see if that makes a difference. And even the thin highlights, gonna be select that one again and give it a try one more time. Well, it finally worked. Then we're gonna select that curve and select this curve and hit OK. Nothing happens again. We keep trying this, and then select the endpoint and hit OK, and it still doesn't work. So if we keep doing this and we're having difficulty with the trim curve, it's probably because of the WCS. The WCS is not the working plane, and sure enough, WCS here is set up to the XZ instead of the YZ. So we gotta be sure that we make that the working plane. So we can turn around either way and see what happens. Okay. After we rotate the WCS, we can come back and continue doing the trimming and see if that makes a difference. Select the curve that we're going to trim, select the next curve that we're going to be used as bounding, and hit OK. See how easy this time it went. Let's do that again with this other curve. Select that one, select this here, hit OK, and it worked just fine. So it was the WCS, the one that was giving us some difficulty. So one more time, select that curve, select that one as bounded 1, select that as bounded 2, and hit OK. And we continue all the way around doing the same thing. Select another curve. We try to use the corner function here. See if we can trim this corner by indicating. Perfect. Okay. There's more curves to trim. We're gonna trim this one here. We're gonna use this as bounded 1. This is bounded 2. And we hit OK. Select that one. Select this one here. Select that one there and hit OK. And then we're gonna do this again with the other two curves. Select that one, hit OK. And then we're gonna hit apply here this time. We're gonna select that one, and then we can trim both at the same time simultaneously. Now we're gonna select this. We're gonna be sure that we create a tangent curve around that, and we're gonna extend it, lock it, and then trim it, that curve. Now we're going to finally trim this last one from that point to that point and hit OK. We do a fit, we double check that the geometry is all there, everything that we need. Go back to layers. We're going to make layer 6 our active layer. Rotate the part. We're going to verify that the geometry is there. And that's all we do for now.